All right, welcome everyone to Statistics, Applied Statistics 19EW3. Each week I'll be posting some videos in my announcements, mostly to help with the kind of the homework and the technology. I'll be posting regular announcements as well on the material. This first video is going to kind of help us understand how the math lab, or MyStatLab, will help with your learning, as well as how to do the homework in it. If you've taken this course before or some other similar to this, we have just updated the book. So there is some changes compared to how things were done prior, and that's one reason I wanted to do this. It doesn't have a typical e-text like we had before, where we just open a PDF of the actual textbook. You can still get a hard copy, but that is a cost to you, as well as me. I don't get one. I have to use this new book as well, so I was playing around with it, and I wanted to share some of the things I've learned about it. It is very interactive, so I think it will be beneficial once we kind of get comfortable with how it works. But it is, again, it is not a typical e-text where it just opens up the book in a PDF and you go to a certain page and you read. There's videos, exercises, ways to use technology, kind of walk you through the learning. So when you log in, this is our course page. Here's where our announcements will come up, and then all the modules. So each week you go through the modules. They'll tell you what's required for the work that week. I'll give you a PDF of kind of an overview of the material, what sections to read in the book. These are all created through Southern New Hampshire, so every course is the same. What makes our course different from other courses is what I put into the announcements. All right, so the announcements are kind of the things that I add to the course to aid in your learning the material. Your page may look a little different than mine, because mine's the instructor page, but our MyStatLab should be very similar. I recommend that you go through all of the StatLab things this first week. The quicker you become more comfortable with, the rest of the course will become a little bit better. So it goes through how to check your browser, announcements, the statistics course home, a calendar. A lot of stuff I don't really use because I just use Brightspace, but I would still go through and you can see how it works. We're going to kind of jump around. I'm not going to go in order because I'm going to finish with the homework. So first thing we'll talk about here is this guided notebook. Right. So if we open up the guided notebook, it's kind of similar to the e-text. So you can see you have a downloadable PDFs if you want to print, or you can open it in Word if you want to type in your answers. This is not a graded assignment. This is to help you learn. This is a way to take notes. So like if I go to chapter 3, it gives you an outline, summarization of data is what it's called, goes through the objectives that we want to learn, and then it starts asking you questions. So you can either print this out, or if you prefer to type, you can open the Word version, and then you will go to the e-text in a minute, and as you read and interact with the e-text, you can put your own answers and words in here into the screen, which will allow you to basically create notes and help you understand the material. So that's kind of the purpose of this section. That's why you can see here's the example that it will go through in the e-text, right? And then as you follow along, you can write in your own words what these differences are. That's why none of these like plays and stuff like that work. It'll be very similar to the e-text. So that is what the the guided workbook is for, or guided notebook. It is a tool that helps you collect notes of the sections that we're working on. So close that out. I think the next thing should be, is the activity workbook. Now, what's different between the guided workbook and the activity workbook? The activity workbook is an area where you can kind of go and download this applet. I load my computer. I live out in the country, so my internet is a little slow at times. That's why nothing. There it goes. So here's the applet. So you go to this site, download this applet, and it basically creates this little interactive software where you can create different things. So it tells you to click reset, and you go through and you can see how the lessons we are learning are applied in simulation. So that's kind of a better word for it. It uses simulation to kind of show you how things work. and how they applied in the real world. Because it's kind of hard to see how these things actually work in the real world. It's easy to show how they're applied, but why they work. And this applet will kind of guide you through that. Again, this is just an additional learning tool and is not anything that is required. And then I'll go back to MyStatLab because I want to go to the e-text because this is where it is different than we have done in previous courses. Let's go through to e-text. So here's our actual e-text, and again, it doesn't have page numbers. So if I go to chapter 3, it has a video opener, right, which would probably cause my computer to go real slow. So it comes through, it has the different sections you can click on. So we go to 3.1. Let me close. This one already had open out. Has an introduction review of what we're going to talk about. Go to objective 1. And you see it has our objective, what we're doing, measures of central tendency, which is the words I will use in the announcement. And here we're looking at the mean of raw data. So it goes into what a parameter is, what a statistic is. So it goes through definitions, have a video that can explain the formulas. So the difference between the mu, which is the population mean, and the sample mean, which is x bar. So you can see the formulas are very similar. And then here's example 1 that goes back to the activity workbook, right? It had, I'm sorry, the guided notebook. I keep getting the two mixed up. Guided notebook. So there's the data that was in that guided notebook, and you can actually now calculate the mean, right? And they can show approach, find a sample, random sample, and there's 4, so you can find x bar. What is neat is here's these video solutions. You can do it by hand. How to use your TI-84 if you have a TI-84, or SC StatCrunch. All right, and then our little technology step by step walks you through exactly what to click on to find these concepts. Technology is going to be key. A lot of you are going to want to do things by hand, and I understand that. I was there as well at one time. The formulas can be very overwhelming. I highly, highly encourage you to use technology to help calculate your results. The key to this course, and what I would like you to take away, is 1, understand how to calculate these things of using technology, because that's how we use it in everyday real life, but how to properly interpret it. In the statistics world, the biggest issue is, because of technology, anyone can calculate statistics now. The problem is there's so many times it is interpreted poorly or wrong. So don't get so wrapped up of trying to figure out how to do all these calculations by hand. Let the technology help you, and use this course to how to interpret the results and to understand what they mean, because most of you are not going to be statisticians, right? So you don't have to calculate, but what you have to be able to do is, when you're in your career, in your field of study, you'll get reports and results based on analysis. And by having an understanding and how to interpret these, you can draw your own conclusions and hopefully make sure that the person that's given you the reports have interpreted them correctly. Because a lot of times, I mean, all you have to do is watch the local news or any politician, and you'll see that they just do not interpret these results correctly. And that's why, honestly, a lot of people just don't like statistics, because they say it's a made-up math, unlike regular mathematics where 2 + 2 is 4. We get some different interpretations at times, and again, some are argumentative. You know, they could probably argue why they came up with that result, and I would agree with it. Other times they're just not interpreting it correctly. So that's my big spiel, trying to convince you that technology is a good thing. So that's how we use the interactive text, and you can go through all the objectives. Again, print out your guided notebook, helps you create your notes, walks you through how to do the technology. Do all of this before you try to do the homework. Now, the homework, because I get a lot of questions about that. There is a lot in MyStatLab. Practices, quizzes, all these things. These are there to assist you in learning the material. The only thing that I check is My Statistics Homework. So if you click on My Statistics Homework, This is the assignments that I am looking for you to do. As you can see right now, you have 3. One is not graded, kind of walks you through on how to use MyStatLab. Highly encourage you to do is 10 questions, shows you how to use the different tools and how to input answers. And then MyStatLab 3. So there is the videos that I'll post midweek typically will have me doing 1 or 2 homework problems, showing you how to kind of use the technology. I'm not going to solve any today in this video, but I want to at least open one to get you started. See if I picked one that gives me what I want. Perfect. So we have this question help. So you can help me solve this or view an example. I like to use the view example if I'm stuck because then I can still go back and solve my problem. Help me solve this helps you solve the problem, then you have to redo the same problem again. StatCrunch is a technology that I will post videos for. Excel is I want to say better. I would prefer if everyone learned Excel because you'll use Excel once you leave the course. StatCrunch is part of this course and then you probably won't use it again. But if you don't like Excel or don't know how to use it, then for now I'd definitely say use StatCrunch, learn the material, then maybe later go back and use how to Excel. If you're very comfortable with Excel, I will talk to you how to do these calculations using Excel, and that way that would just expand your knowledge of Excel. And this is where you get tech help if you're having issues. All right. So if you have a big blue box like this, click on it, or you might just have a little blue box like this. All right. These are the 2 key things. You click on that and you can open it in StatCrunch, Clipboard, or Excel. Again, whatever technology you prefer. I am for now going to go with StatCrunch. And you click on it and it will open up StatCrunch. Now, here's again some applets on how to see things at work, very similar to what was in the book. Here's where you can load data for if you're doing the discussions. Stat is where we'll do most of our statistics. I don't even know what this problem asked me to do, but click on Stat, and this is where you'll go through the course and pick what objective or method do you want to do this analysis. For this first week, most of it's going to be in summary statistics. Our data is in a column. And this is where you can find mean, variance, standard deviation, standard error. I'll let you read about that, and I'll post another video showing you how to do this kind of stuff. But stat is where you're going to find most of your technology calculations. If you have to graph something, you go to graph. We'll do a histogram this first week. You could do scatter plots, QQ plot. Those are kind of the big ones we will do a lot. But scatter plot and histograms the first week, and then scatter plots quite often. So there's where we kind of do graphing. So that's how you get StatCrunch to open. When you click on the e-text and you get to an example, click on the StatCrunch icon, have it open up for you, and it'll show you how they use StatCrunch to solve that problem and stuff. As you can see, there's 7 parts to this question. The first part is just asking you, again, definitions. That's why I'm fine with technology doing the calculations. You still have to understand what's going on to answer all the questions. Make sure you save before you exit. As you move on to questions, this one's probably going to need to task me in my short because I didn't do anything. Oh no, I just moved. It will automatically save your progress. Your homework grade is updated instantly, right? So mine says 0 because I have yet to answer any questions. But as soon as I answer this up, if I exit, it's going to show that I have a 0 grade now for my homework. So I haven't done anything. So if you do half the homework and you get all right and you got a 50% complete, your grade is going to pop up as an F. That is okay. As soon as you come back in and finish the homework, your grade is automatically updated. Your grades will automatically update in Brightspace based on how you're doing on the homework. So don't really worry about your homework grade until you're done doing the homework. If you're like, I'm not doing any more homework, then that will be your homework grade. Homework is due every Sunday. There's 1 assignment a week in StatLab. So 1-3 means this is homework 1. And it's the 3rd requirement of the week because 1-2 is that optional ungraded thing. But typically you only have 2 things. You have what week we're in and what requirement this is. This is requirement 3 because requirement 1 is always your weekly discussion, which is due Thursdays. And then 2 will be your homework. Again, this week says 3 because of the practice homework set. All right, I'm just going to click save even though I haven't done anything. And you can see I haven't done any of it yet. And I do the homework because it lets me go through and make sure that the technology is working correctly, and I can post things in my announcements if it's not. because sometimes there's some glitches, and this is why you'll have some videos doing these with you. And again, if you go back here, this is kind of your main page, and you see what's due next. 1-3. My 1-2 is gone because I've already done it. Practice exams, all this stuff. There is a practice final. That's the only thing on here. As you see, it's not graded. And then they have the actual final. We'll talk about that way as the course goes on. But this is where your homeworks will be. You can see the first one's due January 13th. The next one's due January. See, there's 2-2. Week 2, requirement 2. All right, I think that's all as far as I wanted to talk through MyStatLab. Let me open it real quick and see. Yes, that seems to be all. So, well, one last thing, go back. I want to talk about discussions real quick. While this loads, the homework. Due every Sunday. You can do the homework late. It's a 10% deduction one time per time attempt. So, MyStatLab's going to say this may lower your grade. Well, if you haven't done a problem, you have a 0. And then you go back and do the problem, and you get it correct. Instead of getting 100%, you get a 90%. So even with the 10% deduction, if you go back and fix the problems that you got wrong after the due date, because you can fix them before the due date with no penalty. So you can redo over the homework over and over again until you get 100%. But if you go back and redo the homework after the due date, there's that 10% deduction. If you do all the homeworks and you fix your mistakes, every one of you should have a B+ to A- minimum homework grade. But it does require time and it requires effort, and I understand that, and not everybody has this amount of time. But because you're allowed to redo the homework over and over again, I would recommend you start the week early. That way by Sunday you're done and you have the 100% on your homeworks. And the other thing that's graded besides those weekly homeworks are the discussions. So I go here to discussions. Make sure you look at the rubric. I don't grade the discussions if your answer is right or wrong. I just grade if you've done the requirements. So don't be so concerned of like, I have to get the answer right. Do the discussion, post what you think it is, and that's what they are. They're ways for us to learn from each other and for me to post things. If you do the discussion and you meet the requirements of the rubric, and nowhere in the rubric says you have to get the question correct. It just says, did you provide adequate detail? Did you submit it on time? Did you respond to your peers? Is it written grammatically correct? If you do those things, I will give you all the points. So the discussions typically are, you'll get all the points as long as you meet the requirements. Getting started, I would like for you guys to come in here and introduce yourself. It's not graded, but it's a good way to get to learn each other. General questions, if you're stuck, obviously you can email me, but sometimes it's better to post here in this general questions forum and see if your peers can also help you or explain how they're solving the problem. Because I'm going to answer it the way I've answered all of them. Right? I'm going to explain it mathematically how to do it, but others might have little neat tricks. So if you ask it here in general questions, your peers and fellow students might be able to assist you. So here, 1-1, week 1, requirement 1, discussion. You must submit your response Thursdays by midnight. Then you must respond to at least 2 classmates, 1 from each option by Sunday. And you can see here's option 1, option 2. You only have to create 1 discussion, and you can pick which other option you do. Then, when you respond to your classmates, you must respond to a classmate who did option 1, and you also must respond to a classmate who has done option 2. All right. So, make sure you just read through. Every week is going to be 2 options. Some of them, like this first week, you'll actually use some data, and you'll create some stuff. Or here's kind of like a theoretical question. So it's up to you which ones you do. But you can see this tells you what you need to talk about. Let me try to find here. Oh, so here's where you respond to your classmates. Comment on the similarities and differences between your sample data and that of your classmate. Well, if you did option 2, you have nothing. You can't comment on between these two. But if you did option 1, when you respond to the person in option 1 with you, you can compare you to each other's discussion. If you did option 2 and you come here, then you just kind of talk about what you find interesting in those things. All right. So make sure you read the requirements. This first week's not too bad. So this one had a little bit of theory, and this one's more the discussion. So it's asking you to determine the middle 68%. I want you to create a histogram, find the mean, median. So these are where I'm saying look for the requirements. Again, I'm not going to, if you get them wrong, you do not lose points. I just look, did you do what the requirement asked? Again, a lot of people come into this course really nervous and they don't think they're going to do well. What I have found, and I've been teaching over almost 2 years at Southern New Hampshire now with this course, if you do the work and you keep putting in the effort, you will pass this course. My students who fail typically stop trying and give up usually around week 3. And then it's too late to drop the course, so they just stop doing the work. But if you keep trying and you keep doing the discussions and you do the homework and you keep redoing them until you get a good score, all of you should go into the final with an A. And therefore, it doesn't even matter what you went in the final. You easily pass the course. But again, it may take time because this could be a challenging topic for some. Keys to success. Use technology. Start using it this first week. First week or two, you don't really need it, but so some of you will not take my advice and kind of fight me on it and do things by hand. And then we get into week 3, and then it's the formulas and doing it by hand becomes very tedious. And now you have to start learning how to use the software, and that's where people start kind of throwing in the towel. Start using your technology, TI-84, StatCrunch, Excel, whatever one you want to use. Start using it. They will get you through the whole course once you pick one. And that way you'll get comfortable with those. So when we get into the harder material, the more challenging material, you'll at least understand how to use the technology, and all you have to do is apply the lessons for that week. Do your discussions. Right? All you have to do is pick a topic. If you don't understand, ask general questions or email me like I don't really understand what this discussion's asking me. And then you have at least responded by Thursday. Right? Get your discussions on time. Then you get your full points for submitting your discussion by Thursday. You get your full points for submitting on time. And as long as you use spell check, your grammatical errors should be minimum. And then all you have to do is respond to 2 peers, classmates by Sunday. Make sure you hit those requirements, and you get all the points for your weekly discussions. All right, I think I've rambled enough. Hopefully this video will help. This is the first time I've posted an introductory video. I'm excited for our class. I always learn something from you. I change my teaching styles, and I try new things each semester based on feedback I get from my students. So please complete the end of the course survey at the end. Reach out as often as you need. I check my emails quite often. I go to my phone. I typically respond within 24 hours. If you email me in the middle of the night for help, though, I will not respond to the morning. I'm on the East Coast, so that's my time zone. But I do get up early, and you'll see me posting grades and stuff usually around 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. All right. Again, good luck, and it's going to be a fun course.